Hari Om, Swami Satchitananda here. We were talking about the process of meditation in the Yoga Sutras, Patanjali Yoga Sutras. And last we were talking about pratihara or withdrawal of the senses. And as a preliminary step to the control of the mind. Okay? Pratyahara is really only seeing that the outside world, whatever that is there, that is cut off, and then you start the first inward journey through Pratyahara. The next step is called Dharana. Now this is a very important step and without which there is no question of any meditation at all. Dharana means concentration. You will see in the world outside that everything is diffused. Okay? If you see sunlight, sunlight is diffused. If you see water, water also is very diffused. If you are able to concentrate them, these energies, they become very powerful. So it is said now with water, only using water, if it is pushed at a particular pressure, very thin amount of water, it can cut even diamonds. It is the fastest way of cutting diamonds, the cleanest way of cutting diamonds. So too with the sunlight and the light which is spread all over. What we are doing is, whenever we are able to concentrate it, it becomes into some kind of energy that we can use. Right? That's the idea of the solar panels. Right? That's the idea of any concentrated sunlight that can be used to create more energy. Okay. So, same thing, the mind is also a very diffused place. It's a place where so many thoughts are going on all the time. You have closed the outside door, but inside is open. Inside universe, which is our universe, is open. And thoughts from the past, the anxieties about the future, guilt, hatred, love, our aspirations, our expectations, all these form a kind of a mess of a mind in which it is very, very diffused. Most of us actually don't even know where the mind takes us sometimes, because it has this ability to link itself to some other issue on its own practically, and then you are traveling in the direction in which the mind is taking you. So the step called Dharana, which is the sixth step in the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, is the power of concentration. This power of concentration is perhaps a long drawn out effort. It will not come in 1 day or 2 days or in 1 month or even 1 year. Okay? It's a long drawn out effort. So what are we really trying to do when we talk about concentration? Look at a person who is trying to concentrate while doing meditation. What's happening is these thoughts are moving up and down on their own, and you are sitting there and you are trying to concentrate. So concentrate means you're trying to bring them together at some point in a kind of trying to manage the whole chaotic process that is going on. So it becomes very difficult. And that is why even Arjuna, when it was suggested by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita that you must control your mind, he says, how can a person control the mind? It's not possible, because it's as diffused as the wind. Now, can the wind be brought together somewhere? So it's a very difficult process. And if you sit for meditation, let us say, what happens is that you are taking a mantra, right, as we had suggested, and you are taking your breath, which are the two basic things that you do when you are starting on general process of meditation. Okay, so these two are there, and you are trying to use the breath, incoming and outgoing breath, and you are using the mantra which is a vibration, to try and control this mind, right? Now, when you're trying to do it, what happens is it's not coming under control. So after some time, half an hour, you get to, what happened? What did you do in meditation? A lot of thoughts were there. No, but what did you do anything? No, just thoughts were there. I couldn't do anything. So what are you actually supposed to do? Why is concentration such a difficult process? This is the question that you must ask. Because people still tend to believe that meditation is a very passive process. It does not require any effort. And going outside and digging a well or cutting a tree or doing some work in a factory or doing some work in a IT company is much more meaningful than doing meditation. Okay? Because you don't do anything. Which is a fallacy actually. Because what happens is when you're sitting and you say, I'm trying to concentrate my mind, the mind becomes even more vigorous. It has this ability to act in the opposite direction of your thought. It becomes even more vigorous first. So as it keeps moving, you are trying to focus on your breath and using the mantra. It comes in and disturbs you, then again it goes out, again it disturbs you. So every time the mind comes in and disturbs you, when you're focusing on your breathing and you're focusing on your mantra, you have to be able to throw it away. So the act consists of not allowing that thought to disrupt you. So the action consists of trying to keep it aside. Every time it comes inside, you have to keep it aside. Every time it comes inside, keep it aside. Now, how long will it take? We don't know how long it will take. For some people, it takes very, very long time. The more agitated you are outside, as I told you, the less kind of a moral and ethical life you're living becomes more and more difficult. Okay? But the real effort consists of your being able to sit there and very consciously saying, no, I will not allow the mind to come I will not allow the mind to come and affect this process. So every time it comes in, you're trying to shift it out, Now suppose if you sit for half an hour, how many times will you be shifting it out? I don't know, maybe 1,000 times, right? In a minute, let us say 6, 7 times, 8 times, 10 times, okay. Or every time it happens, you have to shift it out. If you don't do that, then concentration is not possible, right? Now people think, every time it comes, let me ease up a little bit. If you ease up, there is no concentration possible. You cannot ease up. Therefore, we say the mind has to remain very alert. Alert to see when the thought comes and disturbs you. And every time the thought comes and disturbs you, you have to be in a position to keep it aside. And this may be as many number of times as it comes in. So in due course, without saying how long, in due course, the mind knows that if it comes in, then it will be thrown off. It will not be allowed to disrupt this breathing and the thing. Every time you do it. So then it becomes little more manageable. Like a puppy or a dog. Then you tell him, go, sit out. So if you do it continuously over a period of time, the mind understands that you will not be allowed to do that. Call it ET, whatever you want. It will not be allowed to do that. And for this to understand, the mind takes a long time. So if you are not alert at any point of time, it will swell you up at all, totally. So you can understand how difficult it is to concentrate. Right? Concentrate on the breath. Concentrate on the mantra. This is the basic thing we are concentrating on when we are talking about meditation. We are not talking about so many other possibilities that can be built on this infrastructure. It could be focusing on any other chakras. There's so many kriyas are there. So many ways of meditation are there. But it comes down to this. On top of this, you can do various kind of imagination, this, that, whatever you want to do. Any structure you can put on it. But if you don't have this, the structure will not come through. All right? So, it's a lot of effort. Dharana is a lot of effort. And as human beings we are, Most of us are lazy. The moment you have to put that continuous effort, we give up. Because we want quick ways, shortcut ways to get enlightenment and light and color and all that. So I've seen many people who can't concentrate, but they will tell you about, all the visions that they saw and things like that. This is all pure BS, okay? There's nothing else but that. So you can't get into that level at all before the mind is able to concentrate. So this takes a long time, all right? And therefore the practice has to be continuous. If you say practice today and you leave it tomorrow, then day after tomorrow it will become difficult. Unlike in asana, if you do asana, for example, 4 days in a week, nothing will happen. The body has learnt it, it will play. It is not so with meditation. With meditation, you have to practice every day. And people recommend a particular time. They say, if you pick up a time that you want to do it at that time only. Because it's like psyching your mind out. Okay? It's like psyching your mind, because the mind knows correctly 4 o'clock in the morning, this is what's going to happen. So after a period of 1 year, 1.5 years, it knows 4 o'clock in the morning, this is what's going to happen. So it takes that long period of time to be able to do that. Right? So when you talk about things like auspicious time or more favorable times, which is the Brahma Murta, the morning time, the dawn, when there is light without the sun, and in the sunset time, when there is light without the sun. These are the two so-called good times when you can do meditation. Why? Because the mind, outside environment also helps you during this time. Right. And so that we are trying to take advantage of that as well. If you try to do it in the heat of the day at 10 o'clock in the morning, not be able to do. You will say, no, I can do. I do at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. Because the day becomes rajasic. You can't do a sattvic activity at a rajasic time. You can't do rajasic activity in a sattvic time. So people who are very enthusiastic about asanas, they will practice asanas at 4 o'clock in the morning. I've seen people doing that. I tell them, boss, this is morning time. All right, do some meditation now. Asanas, a lot of time is available in the day. Any time you can pick up. No, this is a very good time. So, because asana is considerably easier than controlling the mind. Physical posture is gross. This is not gross, this is very subtle. So this activity goes on continuously. If it has to go on for a period of time, the mind learns to be able to focus on one thing to the exclusion of everything else. When we say concentration, it means focusing on one thing to the exclusion of the whole universe. Nothing else comes into the picture. Nothing else should come into the picture at all. And if you are more agitated, of course, it will be more difficult. If you are not able to have a good relationship with your partner, of course, you will not be able to do it. If your son has met with an accident or is in the hospital, you will not be able to do it. Certainly not. Because these are agitations which are there outside, which will overwhelm the mind. Right? So, when you talk about concentration, even these overwhelming times, the mind should be able to concentrate. Because really we don't know the world outside. It offers so many possibilities. Sometimes good situation, good day is good. Sometimes the day is bad. Sometimes the boss fires you. Sometimes he treats you well. Sometimes your wife is in a good mood. Sometimes she is not in a good mood. Sometimes the children behave properly. Sometimes they don't behave properly. So everything is in a flux. So in spite of all this flux, to be able to concentrate is the real job. And that is what Dharana is about. Okay? So why are we saying, therefore, to focus on the breath? Because the breath is the incoming and the outgoing breath is like an anchor. Right? It's the anchor of the mind, it's the anchor of the body. So you hold on to something which is the anchor. You can't hold on to one aspect which is not his anchor, because if it is not an anchor, you will be going along with it. Okay? So the breath is the anchor. And to add to that, you have an anchor, which is a mantra. The mantra is a vibration, right, as we told before. It's an intuited vibration, not written out by a human being. It's an intuited vibration collected from the universe. So that vibration acts as a anti a kind of a pill of the cancer of the mind. Okay? The mind that is moving all the time. Right? It acts as a deterrent for that. So keeping this in mind, we keep on doing the focus. So you have to do it for a long period of time. So if you're doing meditation and you say next year, in 3 months I'll be okay, I should get some. No, it's not going to happen. Sorry. If somebody has told you can do it in 3 months, not going to happen. So you have to look for longer times. Now, in this process, when you're trying to concentrate, is there any benefit in that? That is the question. Of course, there is benefit in that. There is benefit in just sitting. All right? And even if you are just playing with ball, with the mind, trying to keep it away, right? You are still getting some benefit because the mind is not agitated so much. And your heartbeat remains low. You come out of it relaxed, right? So it's purely for some kind of relaxation. This helps, surely. But beyond that, it will not help you. Beyond that, if you want to move further into the area of the silence, okay, then concentration is the prelude for that. Only if you get deep concentration will you be able to touch the silence between the thoughts properly. Otherwise, the silence will remain a myth. It will be just in your mind, you can talk about it, but it is not a reality in your experience. If you get a 10-minute silence, well, let us say 10 minutes, let us say 5 minutes silence. 5 minutes silence between one thought and another thought, it's your experience. Because in the 5 minutes in between, there was no thought. So like this, if you get even 10 minutes, there is no thought between one thought. Now 5 or 10 minutes is a big deal. People say, what's the big deal for 5 or 10 minutes? It's a very big deal. You won't get 1 day of silence just like that. Nobody wants 1 day of silence because you are not going to become a yogi, going under the ground and sitting there, to pass 3 years or 5 years or 10 years there. No. You want to negotiate this life, you want to negotiate it well. So, we want a period of time. And the period that I am suggesting is 1 mandala. 1 mandala is 48 minutes. Okay? 48 minutes constitutes 1 unit. So if you are able to sit for 1 mandala in silence, that means there is only 2 thoughts in this 1 mandala, one before and one after. You have achieved what you need for your life, for regulating your life well. Just 48 minutes. But even 48 minutes will take a long time. And if you get the silence, what happens is, you will not know the time flowing. Because in silence, the time does not flow. There is no time in silence. So you may get up sometimes after 2 hours thinking that only 15 minutes or 20 minutes. That's when you know you are concentrating. That's when you know you are concentrating. Because in silence, you are not aware of the time. When you are aware of the time, you are not in silence. No. And you will see most of us are looking at our watches, looking down to see what time it is, what time it is, what time it is. Let this half an hour go. They want me to sit for half an hour. I've seen many TTC programs and things like that. Somehow they must pass the time, including the teachers. Half an hour must go. How many times will you look at the ground? So you'll be thinking and taking a nice break which you need. Okay, wherever you want to go in the universe, you can go there, visit it, and come back. Okay, so dharana by itself is a very difficult process. It takes time, and therefore you cannot underestimate it. Okay. And only this concentration will actually split the thought. The splitting of the thoughts occur with concentration. The more the concentration, the deeper the split. The less the concentration, the less is the split between the thoughts. So if your concentration is deep, you will find that between the thoughts there is nothing. That silence has to be achieved. Because it is in that silence that the magic of meditation happens. The magic of meditation is not in activity. The magic of spiritual life is not in activity. It's in silence. The highest knowledge is acquired only in silence. That is why even the Vedas, they say about the rishis, they say they were intuited, right? That means they are, one of course, a very pure mind, and so they are in deep concentration, with deep silence in their mind. So they are able to pick this vibration from the universe. And they have become the part of the so-called Vedas that we are talking about. That's why they have not put their own signature, because it's not their communication. They are not the owners of that. Vibration is already there. They're just passing it on. So you can understand that how many things can happen in that silence, right? Great knowledge occurs. Great intuition occurs. Because at the time when the mind, our regular mind is not functioning, the rationality is not working, the manas is not working, the chitta is not working, even the buddhi is not working, that is where you get many solutions to problems. Most scientists, most people who are, very highly intuited artists, they get it in silence only. They get the solution. It may be a mathematical solution. It may be a vision of a mural, whatever it is. The best outcome comes from the silence because it is intuited. Okay? And the logic does not apply there. No, when the equation E is equal to mc squared is applied now. Now, before that equation came, who could see a relationship between speed of light and the square of it to the energy there? Totally unrelated. Totally unrelated. So getting two unrelated aspects of the universe and putting them together, there is a new discovery of the laws of the universe. Okay. So this is where Archimedes, for example, he had his, imagine when he was in the tub, they say, I remember reading this in school, and he was having a bath. Suddenly he got this intuition. And he went practically naked to the king and said, I got it. About the displacement of the water and how the displacement occurs. So, dharana, therefore, is a very difficult process. For dharana to occur, one thing is that ethical life is a must. Without ethical life, dharana will not happen. If somebody says, no, the values are not so important, they can all be changed, and I can follow a life which is not really in line with that, and I can do concentration also, not possible. Mind will not allow you to do that. And the second thing is that your own amount of effort that you are able to put in, purity that you are able to bring in to the mind and body, will help you. Why we talk about this fasting and other kinds of purity and sadhana is nothing to just give the mind purity. Because the mind is pure and in a concentrated state, then the silence becomes into a magical platform. All right? So you should not give up the effort. Don't say, I've done for 1 year, I've not succeeded. No, keep on with it, keep on with it. A time will come, suddenly you will see that yes, see the small progress that you make, maybe 1 minute, maybe half a minute, maybe 2 minutes of silence that you get between the thoughts. And keep on with it. And you have to take effort. If you slip up and say, and do it like a dream, it's not going to happen. The mind has to be fully alert. And this is where we fail, and therefore meditation fails. And therefore people don't do meditation, they do something else. Hari Om.